The big question, though, is will the two major presidential candidates and their running mates attend? I've got Raphael Tuju, the Secretary General of Jubilee, with me. Dr. David Ndii, I'll come to you in a moment. He's a NASA strategist. Is Deputy President William Ruto going to attend the debate tomorrow?
I'm actually surprised you're asking me that, because the way the story is being framed in the media, this debate is on. So if you have not confirmed with the Deputy President whether he's going to be there or not, then I think that's a problem for the organizers, because they should not be advertising with so much certainty if there are certain things still in doubt.
The organizers say the candidates were all informed, including the Deputy President.
You know, there are so many questions which were raised earlier, and I can bring them here to the public for the interest of the public. Before you have a debate in this kind of democracies, I think we are trying to borrow something from the United States or from the UK, you involve both or at least all the campaigns. You agree on who is going to be the moderator, what are going to be the questions, who is going to be the audience, whether the audience are allowed to participate, are they allowed to clap, are they allowed to cheer, are they allowed to, how is sampling done of the audiences? So all these parameters have to be agreed on together. But when you go ahead and do it without due consultation with the different campaigns, then I think I've never seen a bigger heap of arrogance than this.
So can you say here with certainty that the Jubilee Party was not informed, neither were your candidates informed of either of these debates?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, I'm surprised that on one side, you are advertising that these debates are on, and then you ask me if the candidate is going to participate. It is my imagination. They have, the Deputy President has an office, he has a communication unit which is in constant touch with the media houses, and before you actually say that this debate is on at such a time and so forth, all that should have been discussed by the campaigns.
The organizers say they did discuss with the campaign teams, including that of the Deputy President and the Jubilee Party. You're saying something else?
Well, I can tell you, in the previous one, when it aborted, no discussions had been held with me as far as the presidential one is concerned. I did take it up with the State House, only State House. I've not taken up anything with the Deputy President's office, because the Deputy President's office has got its own communication channel with the media. If you have not confirmed until today whether it's going to be there tomorrow or not, there's a failure in the communication process that you have with the organizers.
Will the President attend the debate on 24th July?
Once again, the President has got a communication team which deals with the media. And I don't keep that diary. And I think that it is, again, I'll say it, is the biggest heap of arrogance I've seen, that you put something on air, you have not defined who is going to be the moderator, for example. I mean, if Larry Mado is supposed to be the moderator, all the campaigns have to agree on that. Because, for example, if you have your own biases, NASA or Jubilee may express those reservations. So you don't railroad everybody to a debate on which you have not defined those parameters. And if you try to do that by constantly advertising it and thinking that you're going to intimidate everybody to fall on line, probably you're wrong. Maybe you're right, but try it.
How much control do the campaigns need? Because if you want to pick who the moderator is, you want to pick who the sampling of the questions are, the audience, etc., then it is no longer an independent process. It is now controlled by the campaigns.
That is not what I said, that the campaigns are not going to pick, but there should be transparency. There are lots of questions we've asked. Who are the media debate company? Which media houses are involved? Who are going to be the, who is going to be the moderator? Is it one moderator? Is it two moderators? Who is going to choose the audiences?
All of these have been in the public domain, sir, and on the debates media website. All of these are kind of already in the public domain. There have been announcements and press releases to that.
There was a request, at least from my side, I did make the request that there should be a meeting in which all these parameters are discussed. It's not been. But once again, since you have advertised this is happening tomorrow, you have said that the deputies should be there. I'm sure you know something that I don't know. So in fact, I'm even surprised that you're asking me.
From the Jubilee Party perspective, because we seem to be going back and forth on this small matter of whether you as Secretary General, your candidates will be participating in debates.
the deputy president and the president have got their own communication unit.
Okay.
And I think by the time you've made the commitment and you've committed them to these debates, I'm shocked that you can announce it with so much certainty and then ask me, are they coming?
Kimani Ichung'wah says he will be representing the deputy president in this debate. Is that the Jubilee position?
You're telling me now. I've not.
He has posted on his Facebook to that I'm very ready on behalf of my party to face off with Kalonzo Musyoka.
Well, you are reading it on Facebook. I've not checked the Facebook, so I would not want to comment.
So that's not a Jubilee party position?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge.
Yes.
All right, stay with me. We still have a lot more to discuss with you, but Dr. David Ndii is here. You're laughing as why does this amuse you so much?
No, I heard what was said also, and I was a bit surprised that they're saying the debates are on, and then you're saying we hope the candidates will show. So
this is not typically what you do for NASA, but do you know if your candidate is coming?
no, I have no idea. I don't do the political campaign activities.
Fair enough. You're here because, one, there is this power-sharing deal, alleged power-sharing deal that is doing the rounds, that NASA apparently came into, that has your name and that of John Githongo, which is true because there's one that's registered at the Register of Societies, and then there's another one that's doing the rounds on WhatsApp and Facebook. So what is the fact, what is the fiction here?
I'm actually surprised that you're asking that question because I saw an article in the Nation website.
The Nation Newsplex team did a fantastic fact check on this.
They did a fact check, but they only did a fact check. And if you look at the last statement in the fact check, they quote my tweet, where I pointed out that the document seems to have been written on April, I think, the 27th.
Right.
But it was signed on March the 1st. And it had been going around for a couple of weeks, and I could see that. And I expected media to do some analysis and say, look, this document is fake. And until I actually pointed that out, and nobody had checked it out. If you ask yourself why that would be, it's very simple. The NASA coalition agreement documents are all public documents filed with the registrar of political parties. If you go to those documents, you will actually find a document which looks, in terms of the signatures, like that particular document. But you'll have different text. So any media doing a bit of investigation would have realized that that is a forgery. And the contents of it is so fantastic that I cannot possibly believe that a serious media house would give credence to material of that nature. But anyway, I think the media should really do a better job of analysis, because the media is complaining a lot about fake news, but I think it's helping propagate fake news.
The media in Kenya is helping propagate fake news.
Absolutely.
How so?
By not calling out, by giving credence and highlighting things which really it shouldn't, because sensational things, which I think media is taking advantage of fake news to dumb down further than it already had before. That's my reading of it.
All right. That's interesting because this is a former media man. He must know this better than that. You're on the other political side. Do you agree that we are helping propagate fake news by not doing enough fact-checking or whatever, giving credence to claims that should not see the light of day?
To the point that you favor NASA, yes. But
you think we favor NASA?
It's obvious.
You think we favor NASA?
But I know.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, the way the stories are framed, say, for example, let me just give you an example, the Unga thing. You know, during the time when I was in the media, I would have been a little bit more analytical about that. You know, there was complaint about the price of Unga in this country, cost of living and the rest of it. Have you checked what a 2-kilogram packet of Unga costs in Uganda? It is 202 shillings, Kenya shilling equivalent. Down here in Arusha, it is 150. So, you know, it's as if somehow the way things have been framed is as if, you know, Jubilee is even being blamed for the biggest rain failure since 1984.
Hang on, you're saying the Unga crisis that's currently facing the country is been framed by the media to favor NASA.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm just giving you an example, because if it was during the time when I was practicing journalism, I would have wanted to know comparatively what is the situation in Uganda, what's the situation in Tanzania, so that you don't get into this bandwagon of blaming the government for everything.
Why are we comparing ourselves? The economy is smaller than ours. All right, we've lost his battery. We're going to try and fix that in a moment, as his battery just literally fell off as we were speaking. That's a fascinating point to put out. But before we come to the price of unga, which he says has been manufactured by the media, you put out a tweet which has become very controversial on July 2nd, and I want you to be able to provide some context to it, just so before we discuss the economic issues. Your area is economics, but you talked about, let me quote myself, if Uhuru Kenyatta is declared winner in another sham election, this country will burn. People consider that incendiary and careless.
Yeah, again, media again, it illustrates the point I made. The media published, the Nation published the article from which I was quoting myself last year. It was debated extensively. I mean, it's probably the article I have written that has been debated most extensively. And it was about tribalism and giving historical perspective of tribalism. And I have made the point severally that we have been a multi-party country for almost 30 years. Okay? That is almost longer than from independence to when we became multi-party. Every election in Kenya is a potential flashpoint into their base. Okay? Even after 2007, and after writing a new constitution, having learned, or think that we have learned the lessons of 2007, we are now hurtling to another election where everybody concerned, not just me, is warning about the potential for violence.
And this is only if Uhuru Kenyatta is declared winner in what you call a sham election?
Let me be specific. If the biggest potential flashpoint, it would be not the cause of violence. There are underlying grievances. If you look at the process that led to the peace accord in 2007, it had 4 articles. I don't know, people have very short memories. One of them was called Article 4. Article 4 was the underlying grievances that predisposed Kenya to conflict. An election is a trigger. If we have a bungled election, the likelihood of that election triggering violence without any sort of determination as to where that violence would be and what the fault lines it would follow is real. I mean, even today I saw a newspaper article saying that the NCIC has not favored either NASA zones or Jubilee zones in identifying flashpoints. The last most ominous event or incident I saw was during the Jubilee nominations, when there was some people doing a war dance in the streets of Eldoret. Chilling event. Was there NASA opposition involved there? No. That is a traditional fault line which we saw in 2008. I do not know what people are going on and out. Perhaps what people are doing, they are in denial. They don't want, and I am calling it out. If you go to the context of what I have said in that article, is if we cannot resolve these fundamental flashpoints, and every election is a potential flashpoint that can lead this country into the abyss, then perhaps we ought to have a different conversation.
The problem with that premise is that when you say Uhuru Kenyatta is declared winner in a sham election, then the country will burn, is people assume that to be code for if Uhuru Kenyatta is declared winner, period, the country will burn.
If you know sham. Kibaki was declared winner in what we saw as a sham election. The country burned. Repeat.
Well, let me just get
Possible.
Can I put in?
That's what I'm saying.
Can I put in a word?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I think, the fact that this is a country in transition is no doubt. The fact that we are different nationalities, the question of making our country one is work in progress. We're not yet there. I mean, the differences between West Pokot and, say, Muranga are so huge. And that's just our reality. In the sense that we're a geographical phenomenon created by the colonials, and we could go on and on that one. My problem is when NASA makes statements that can create more of this conflict.
Like what statements?
Like the statement about land, the kind of statement that the former Prime Minister made in
Kajiado?
In Kajiado, right? We all have to be very, very careful. I mean, I'm not only talking about the former Prime Minister. Even on our side of the debate, we have to be very careful because we're a very fragile country. Like most African countries, we're very fragile, and we have to be very, very careful about the statements we make. The kind of statements that I've had in the political arena, some of them are definitely not helpful. And one of the things that I would really want to appeal to all of us in the political arena to be very, very sensitive to this. If anything, when I look at those who are in the, on the other side of the political divide, Ngilu, she was working with President Uhuru until the other day. Mudavadi, he was President Uhuru's running mate in 2002. Kalonzo Musyoka, he was in Kanu with President Uhuru. Wetangula, he was with me in PNU and was a minister in President Kibaki's government. So sometimes when I see the kind of rhetoric they're talking about, NASA how, who are how, I get shocked to see the kind of anger and vitriol that some of our politicians verbalize, and yet at a personal level, people are friends.
You and David Ndii are friends?
Of course, we're very good friends. Me and him, in fact, you can't possibly make the two of us fight because we are friends.
Then why are your supporters so antagonistic toward each other?
It's because of that act that we do and the dance we do on the political platform and the political stage. And unfortunately, because our people are very gullible sometimes, they literally take everything that is being said and they don't understand that this is just gamesmanship.
But I think there's more. And if you look at, and it's true, I agree, there's a lot of sort of game on the political around the elections. But it is informed to a large extent political election. So that if we really had the kind of election that you have in some of the social clubs I belong to, you have an AGM, people come in, there's a ballot at the door, you sort of vote for the next year's chairman, you go to the bar and have a drink, and you really don't care the outcome. That is what hopefully that country is trying to achieve. But we cannot seem to agree on a fair electoral process. It should not be a contest. 6 elections down the road, it should not be a contest. So what has happened? What happens is citizens who feel that their vote should count, feel they're being taken for a ride. And they feel that their dignity is being undermined. Because you tell me to go and vote and that this vote counts, and then the process is all smoke and mirrors. So part of it is people venting those frustrations. Let's not just say it's just at the leader level. The people who who have been told and have been made to believe and have sort of invested emotionally that their vote should bring change. When they feel that is frustrated, they can. But where we agree is that it is the leadership collectively
Yes.
which is responsible for bringing those
And I'd like to
frustrations.
request, you know, Dr. Ndii, you're a person I respect a lot. Something very simple, for example. The NASA leadership, and that includes the former Prime Minister, he should be able to say that he will accept the results of the elections.
He has said he will accept the result of the elections if they're free and fair.
Yes. Now, what is this definition of free and fair? If free and fair means that it's only if he wins, then we have a problem.
He hasn't said that.
Yeah. So the thing is that then, of course, we know they have all these kind of cases with the IEBC. You know, IEBC, I think, I don't know, I've lost count. I thought at one time there were 30. I'm told there are more, maybe there are less. I don't know. I mean, it's just too many of them. But if you look at this IEBC, it is a creation of NASA.
Are you saying that NASA should not have an expectation to have a free and fair election?
All of us should have an expectation of free and fair elections, and all of us as a country, very much in its embryonic stages in several areas, should work towards building these institutions and instilling confidence in these institutions and making our people respect those institutions. Then we'll be able to move forward.
Or to put it a different way, are you saying that NASA and Raila Odinga should not say that they will accept the results if they're free and fair? That means they should accept the results even if it is what he calls a sham election?
Now, who would make the results not free? Is it the IBC? That's the question.
Let me come in there.
Is it the IBC? Because it's the IBC who are the referee. So, in other words, are we undermining and questioning the credibility of that IBC? And yet, this IBC is a creation of NASA. It wasn't there before.
Let me come in there.
Yes, sir.
I think as the opposition, one of the things we put on our political platform very early on, even before NASA came into being, as when CORD was, and as a person who's been helping the opposition in terms of thinking for quite a while, was that a free and fair election is an outcome an end in itself in terms of our democratic development. We say this is our last hurdle, we think, in terms of making the democratic transition. So those of us who have been on this road I've been there all my adult life. I got involved in this opposition politics when I was 23. I was in the room where we were writing the Ford Constitution. So we have sort of walked this road. We went through multi-party elections. We went through a new constitution. We have one hurdle, a free and fair and eventful election like Ghana is doing, like Tanzania does. So that to us, we say this is an outcome that we would like to see in its own right, whether we win or lose. So we started agitating for reform of IEBC a long time ago. That's why he's saying that the IEBC is our creation. We were pushing those reforms as a contribution to the democratic development of our country.
Okay. Yes, but then if it is your creation, and then you're the first one to start saying there's going to be rigging, and I want to tell you, I come from Nyanza and I know what rigging is. I know what vote stuffing is. You saw the ODM primaries. We're talking about sham elections or sham nomination processes.
The Jubilee primaries were just as a sham, so you had to cancel them.
No. Yeah, we had to cancel. We had the intellectual honesty to stand on national TV and say, hey, we cocked up. Can we do it again? All right? Did ODM do that?
And I'm still sitting here with Dr. David Ndii from NASA and Raphael Tuju from Jubilee. We'll get to them in a moment. Somebody pointed out by the Fred Muga, I love how Kikuyu is representing NASA and the Luo is representing Jubilee in a political debate. And a lot of people are saying how this is mature. Why don't we see more of this?
Well,
don't take an opportunity to attack the media again.
I don't want to attack the media. I think we're developing. I think it's a good development. I think we're all learning. And I think we should be able to have more of this. It's part of our political development to have a situation in which you have this kind of position. Unfortunately, we don't show it enough, and I think you should be showing more of that.
Okay.
Yes.
You can be respectful, disagree,
yes,
but mature.
Yes.
That's something we'll try. I'll try to do more of that on NTV, and hopefully more of my colleagues will do that.
Yes.
With Dr. David Ndii and Raphael Tuju. Dr. Ndii, you talk about a lot corruption in your column, but also NASA has made corruption a rallying call in this election. What moral authority does NASA have to talk about corruption?
I think when matters corruption, you have to get out of this moral pedestal business. Corruption is a societal problem. We even call it a long time, we say it is a cancer that is eating society. I was just having a conversation with Mr. Tuju before we came here, and I think you can take NASA on issues of corruption if you go that route. You can take Jubilee on, but can you actually take Mr. Tuju on corruption? He was in government for several years. Does he have a single scandal? No. I have been supporting NASA and the opposition, and I was involved, for instance, with NAC in 2003, and until it's a long story. I think what we're doing in this country is that people don't want to take personal, moral, and ethical responsibility. So what we do is that we shift the burden of corruption to the criminal justice system, and we say it is the job of EACC and lawyers and judges and all sorts of other people, everybody but me.
Isn't that the job, though? Because you can't prosecute corruption cases in a political rally.
But the point is, you asked me, what is NASA's policy platform on corruption? And I'm being very specific. It's a policy platform, not a moral crusade.
Right.
The NASA's policy platform is that leaders are the ones who should be held accountable by the people. Okay? It is people. So if you elect Raila Odinga as president and his team, and it is him that people have to hold accountable because he has authority to do many things which are not necessarily arresting and prosecuting people. If his cabinet secretaries are involved in whatever it is, he has the authority to ask them to step down.
Right.
Okay? So, what has NASA done? In NASA, I was very proactive, among other people, in putting in the coalition agreement a very strong code of conduct, which the NASA leaders, which actually has got a higher threshold than even the Constitution, which NASA leaders have committed to sign. Now, we will make them sign it, try very hard. They have committed to sign it, and anybody who is appointed, appointees to sign. Now, if they do that, or when they do that, it is up to the public to hold them accountable for the things that they have committed themselves to. This business of saying that those people, what we have now, yeah, this slugfest, competing on who can throw more mud to the other, is a race to the bottom. But so who does it benefit? But it's not benefiting as citizens.
It might be a slugfest, all right, but shouldn't Caesar's wife be beyond reproach? You can have a code of conduct and a policy platform on dealing with corruption, but what if the people around your presidential candidate also have skeletons in their closet?
Call them here. Tell them, Mr. So-and-so, you have skeletons in the closet. Here they are. Can you tell us? Why are you asking me?
Do you have a problem, though, supporting a presidential candidate and a party who some of its leaders have corruption scandals or skeletons in the closet that are still hiding in there?
Let's go back. I like to take people back to 2003. We were running on a reform platform as a opposition, which we had done since 1992. Then, one day, many people came from Kano, led by Raila Odinga, who had gone to Kano and had a fallout. They came and joined the opposition, and they became NAC. We still ran as NAC on a reform platform with people who had been opposed to reforms for years.
The ex-Kano people.
The ex-Kano people. Did many of those Kano people pursue the reforms? Did they support the reforms that we were pushing? Yes, they did. What happened? Let's take corruption. some of the people who came from Kanu stayed in government for another decade, and I don't recall them having any corruption scandal.
Okay.
Some of our so-called good people who we came with from opposition became very wealthy very quickly. So one of the things I have learned in my many years in these affairs is not to personalize and to ask ourselves, what reform agenda are we pushing forward?
Okay.
When people come and they say that for whatever reason, whether they are being opportunistic, whether they are hiding their skeletons, whether they have actually converted, when people come and say that they are pushing that reform agenda forward, I give them the benefit of the doubt.
Are you also giving them the benefit of the doubt?
Well, I mean, Mr. Ndii is a good man, but his product, the product he's selling is a little bit challenging. You know, I understand where he's coming from. These are aspirational, and that's what I see from our manifesto and the NASA manifesto, which I've had opportunity to read as well. What I'm not able to reconcile with is the level of hypocrisy of those who can stand up and say NASA how, and what has tended to happen is that actually opposition, and in this case ODM and NASA, they have a lot of corruption refugees. People who had problems when they're in government, and then immediately they go into the opposition. Then they are washed like with Omo, and now they're the ones talking about NASA how.
So you think NASA has no moral authority to be talking about corruption, even though he says that corruption should not be a moral crusade?
No, well, no. I think it's aspirational to fight corruption. And this president sacked 7 cabinet ministers. There is no record in independent Kenyan history that a president acted on 7 cabinet ministers.
But this is also
PSs.
the president that said mnataka nifanye nini regarding corruption.
But he tried. He sacked 7 cabinet ministers. He sacked several members of, permanent secretaries and so forth. But we have a problem of state capture by all kinds of what we would call, cartels. State capture. You'll take them to EACC, they know how to capture EACC. You take them to court, they know how to capture the court. You take, you have prosecutors, they know how to capture the prosecutors. So this is a big problem. I think that corruption is something that we must take seriously, we must fight seriously. But when somebody like, say, Mudavadi, who is a personal friend, and I have great respect for him, it is not me who said that he was the architect of Golden Bag.
It was Raila Odinga.
Yes, Raila, you actually taken the words from my mouth. All right. So now that he is working with Raila Odinga, all of a sudden he's now clean and he's able to talk about NASA how. So I think that's where I have a little bit of a problem. But let us accept. And before I came into this room, I told him, look, we have corruptions both sides. On the Jubilee side, we have challenges there. And I think we should have the intellectual honesty, and I think I want to congratulate him. He has got the intellectual honesty to accept that, yes, there is a problem, even on the opposition side. I think the challenge for all of us as Kenyans is how do we strengthen the institutions and also to be able to hold leaders accountable. But none, the kind of politics which is going on right now of people nassering others, I think it is cheap politics.
It's a good political slogan, they might say, but you don't like the fact that wanasema NASA how when you think there's enough skeletons in their own closet?
Well, they are themselves corruption refugees in the opposition.
What do you mean?
Well, they have taken refuge in opposition so that then they look as if they are clean, but they have issues, and some of them have got issues. In fact, I call them corruption asylum seekers.
Corruption asylum seekers on your side?
As I said, go back to my example. I don't judge people beforehand. They are not in government.
Okay.
If they go into government, I would, and the people are involved in corruption, and then the president or people or the presidency or people in higher level protect their own, then I will have a problem with that.
Finally, how different is the vision NASA has for Kenya compared to what Jubilee is offering?
NASA's is running on a platform fundamentally of implementing the Constitution. And let me give you a simple test. If you take both NASA and Jubilee manifesto, they have three pillars. One is economic, one is social, and one is political. If you go into the Jubilee manifesto, they're in that order: economic, social, then political. By the time you get to the political, it's actually almost sort of fading out. It's little. NASA, the order is the complete opposite. It starts with the political, then the social, and then the economic. So it sounds like it's a subtle thing, but it's significant from where I sit.
Okay.
Why? Because we are saying that the political foundation, you cannot build a strong socioeconomic development without a strong political foundation.
Okay.
So we are emphasizing building a strong political foundation based on the Constitution that we designed specifically for that purpose, and which Jubilee has been dragging its feet. As you recall, the deputy president was the leader of the No campaign. So there isn't that much enthusiasm for...
They've taken a lot of credit for having implemented the Constitution, devolution, given more to counties than they were supposed to, all of those different things.
But they fight it all the time. They're drag kicking and screaming to do so.
Okay. Same question. What is the different vision that Jubilee offers for the country compared to what NASA promises?
Well, I think NASA is very lucky. They can just promise and get away with it. But this is what we're doing. And I think Jubilee itself in its very existence, and he's just talked about the order being reversed, political being last, and then in the case of NASA, political is first. You know, trying to bring 13 different political parties to make Jubilee was in itself a very bold move to try and address the political challenges that we have in this country. I've heard several times people challenge me and say, look, you know, this party is mainly Kalenjin and Kikuyu, and I always respond that if the Kalenjins and Kikuyus who had their issues in past several elections could actually vote together and work together, then that's the stepping stone on which we can start, which means that all the other communities can actually work together. So we can actually build on that. And this president is very, very passionate about bringing this country together. He believes that that should be his legacy. And I can assure you that if Kenyans give him a chance to run this country after the elections on 8th of August, you will see a lot more effort in that direction. And the very fact that I am actually the Secretary General of his party, and I come from 4 kilometers away from his opponent's village, is a major thing, because I don't see that happening from the other side with the same level of enthusiasm at that level.
Okay. That is a good place to end it. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for coming in tonight. We appreciate your time. Raphael Tuju and Dr. David Ndii. Please come back soon.
And thank you so much. We have had a
very
civil discussion.
As long as you invite me with good gentlemen from the other side. Like
not always Tuju, but good gentlemen from the other side. If they give us good gentlemen, we'll be happy to invite them on.
And ladies as well.
And ladies. No, absolutely, yes. We have to be fair. Okay.